Hi everyone, my name is Marcus. I'm a photographer, and this is the story of me and my grandfather's Leica, Chapter 1, Climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. So when I set out on this project, Kilimanjaro, that was supposed to be the whole thing. I was going to pick up the Leica M6, my grandfather's camera, for the very first time, use it, take some photos, go on a trip, and maybe share them with friends and family, post a few Instagrams. It wasn't until I went on the trip that I realized that this connection to my past and this connection to the camera was going to be powerful for inspiring myself and others to pursue their own creativity. And ultimately, that inspiration, that's what drove me to put this entire project together. So from an early age, I was not good with altitude. I was lucky enough, we went on skiing trips as I was growing up. We would go back to Austria most of the time. And I was always the one that would end up with altitude sickness. My siblings would race down the ski slopes, carving turns through pressure powder, skiing with my dad. And I was falling down, sitting on the sidelines, throwing up and staying at home, or even ending up in the hospital for oxygen therapy. The mountains were never my place to thrive. But when I was approaching the end of 2023, one of my biggest years creatively, I got to bring my film series around the world at different screenings. I wanted one last challenge, one last thing to do. And I figured, why not go back to the place that was hardest for me? Why not go back to the mountain? The early photographs were quite instinctual. Rocks under my feet, lines of hikers stretching in front of me, any view that seemed remotely beautiful. I kept on clicking the shutter, not really thinking too much about what I was shooting, just shooting what was interesting and what was in front of me. And at first it felt like any other trip, just another beautiful experience and an exciting one at that, but another adventure to go on. But the further I climbed, the more my perspective shifted. I started remembering that photography is more than just photographing what's in front of you. It's putting together a cohesive image of your experience, documenting the world in front of you, and telling a story. The further we went, the more I looked to the people that I appreciated surrounding me, supporting me, new friends, the team helping me get up the mountain, because I sure as hell didn't do it myself, and the beautiful, beautiful views. From the moment I decided to go on the trip, there were only two photographs that I wanted to take. The first one was a long exposure night shot of the tents glowing with the mountainous background. A photograph at night that would require a long exposure, which on an analog camera means a remote shutter release. So, very simple. I went out of my way, I went to the camera store, and I picked up a remote shutter release. Of course, only to forget it in my hotel room as we embarked on the journey. This meant that when it came down to the moment of framing and taking the photo, I had to hold my breath, remain as still as possible, and do my best to take the photograph manually. The morning brought clear skies and a contagious excitement that honestly felt almost too perfect. That's because it was. Because today would be the first push past 15,000 feet above sea level. Our push to the Lava Tower camp. The Lava Tower is a known formation at 15,000 feet and is a camp that many people go to on their hike up. Before going on the trip, I researched the Lava Tower and I researched other locations that could be interesting to photograph. And the Lava Tower seemed like an underrepresented spot, given its beauty, but the lack of photography there. So I set out with a concept in mind, taking the photograph with a wide-angle lens, and really embracing the sheer size of the formation against the openness of behind it. What I didn't know was why there were so few photographs there. After our entire morning hiking up, barely 10 minutes after arriving at Lava Tower, I was beat, I was done. Special shout out to Kate. Thank you so much, Kate, for taking this photo of me. And as you can see, taking a photo was the last thing on my mind. Altitude sickness had fully set in, just like when I was a child, struggling to find the energy just to sit up. We were supposed to stay at altitude for about an hour before descending to the next camp, and honestly, I spent that time trying to recover, trying to eat the food in front of me, trying to drink the waters that they gave us, just trying to stay awake. And as if that wasn't tough enough, that's when the weather turned. Our beautiful day turned into high winds, fog, and rain, with the last indication of where we were being the sounds of a rescue helicopter in the distance. My chance of photographing the lava tower was disappearing. Looking back, I don't even know how I did this, but somewhere between exhaustion and sheer stubbornness, I found the energy, the grit, to get up. I took the first few steps out of my chair, then the first few steps out of my tent. Swapped camera lenses for the wide angle. Instinctively loaded the film, pointed, and clicked. The next 3 days were a blur of anxiety, excitement, and exhaustion as we steadily climbed to Kosovo Camp, which would be the launch point for our moonlit midnight summit push. Each step brought us closer to the final challenge. Summit day began at 11:45 p.m. under the glow of a full moon. We got out of our tents, had a quick breakfast, if you can call it that, at midnight, and set off into the mountain. The night was brutal. Quiet, cold, and dark as the full moon disappeared. But we pushed through, and I had the chance to take a few photos on the way up, bringing us the only light with my flash. At 5:45 in the morning, we arrived at Stella Point, the beginning of the plateau that is the peak of Mount Kilimanjaro. To our surprise, our team had brought along hot tea for us to enjoy as dawn came up. Sipping on the beautiful sugary drink and seeing slight hints of light in the sky, it set in that this is how we were spending our Christmas Eve morning. It took about an hour to make the final push from Stella Point to the summit, but with every step, it felt so accomplishing. And to this day, it is still one of the greatest moments of my life.
Good morning. Good 6 a.m. from almost the top of Africa. Behind me, Uhuru Peak and the sunrise. I'm sure it's pouring rain and snowy down there, but almost 19,000 feet, we're just hanging in there. One of the best mornings of my life. See you guys soon. Whew.
December 23rd, 2023, 6:44 in the morning. A frozen Christmas Eve morning, above the clouds, standing at the highest point in Africa. I made it. Shortly at 7:10, we were headed down. And frankly, that's the part that you forget about. I hadn't done a mountain climb in a long time, and I'd never done one of this sheer scale before. So I took a few photos at first on the way down, enjoying the excitement and adrenaline. But by Stella Point, I'd realized there was only one thing that I had to put my energy towards: not falling on the way down. Between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m., we hiked to the lower camps. I'd barely touched my camp. Exhaustion had fully set in. We continued down and down and down. And by the time I arrived at camp, all I cared about was going to sleep.
Hakuna matata. Uhuru wakafika. Hakuna matata.
Day 8 started and ended with pure exhaustion. From the summit push and the journey up there, I was desperate to get off the mountain, take a shower, and crash in a real bed. I only shot one roll in the jungle, too drained to focus on much else. All I could think about was what I just accomplished, and slowly letting it sink in. When we finally reached the base, we were given formal recognition for the summit, then loaded on the bus for the long ride back to Arusha. In the days and weeks after the climb, I made the long journey home. Kilimanjaro International Airport to Nairobi, Nairobi to Dubai, Dubai to Los Angeles. A 36-hour-long journey that would bring my total flight time to 344 hours for 2023. A terrifyingly high amount. And honestly, the only thing that really got me through the year was continuing my pursuit of creativity and taking photos along the way. So Kilimanjaro, that was the journey. It was incredible. But I have to say, I can't wait to show you guys what came next.